Hello everyone and welcome to the Deepbluerenegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deepbluerenegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 265. Today is Saturday, February 23rd, 2019, and I'm glad you could join me today. Be like, Saturday. This is my second cup of coffee for the day. And I dragged a lot of stuff upstairs to show you guys this week, so I decided that since this was the last Saturday in February that I would do like a photo shoot of all of my progress on Ginny the Fleece. And it's so much easier to refer to the fleece as Ginny because it is a Corriedale cross Shetland Cross BFL. So it is half Corriedale, half quarter Shetland, quarter BFL. Because there really aren't that many full-bred BFL sheep in the United States. If I wanted a BFL, I'd have to go to Great Britain. And it's not in the plans right now. Sounds like a really fun plan, but it's also funny because I have all this spinning content to show you, but no twist has been added. So, whatever. My wheel sat empty this week. I did other things, like knit Tensfield hats. So, where should I start? Well, it's more like I have to rearrange things. It'd be like, fiber everywhere. Just like that. I'm probably gonna end up dividing that soon. So, let's see how much I can dig up. So, last week I was working on this Tensfield hat. This is Tensfield Echo, and I decided to add the 3-color here. So this has several different scrappy yarns, which I wasn't really sure what to do with. I sort of like the way it looks this way. But I really do like this one quite a lot with the greens and the purples. So this guy is done. I then started yet another Tensfield hat, and this is Tensfield Foxtrot. And it is knit out of Zauberball lace, Malabrigo lace, and those were held doubled. So I had 4 strands of lace working from 2 ends of 2 different balls. I also have some Pima cotton and the Regia hand-dyed effect, and then I had the Cascade cherub as well. So we started down here with the oranges. It then fades to yellows, greens, and then up and around the corner it becomes blue. So I thought that this one's a little bit more slouchy because it's a little bit bigger, but I don't know, I think it looks pretty cute. So the lace Zauberball did all of the work, so it was really fun to knit this pattern with a gradient. And it was a gradient which I really had no clue what to do with. Basically, it was perfect for a little hat project. So, what is it? So, Foxtrot, Echo, Delta, let's see, Charlie, Bravo, and Alpha. And to top it all off, I started Golf. So, this is knit out of some Cascade 220 Merino Superwash, which is super scrummy. And then it is knit out of a different yarn, which has been lost to time. But it is a baby alpaca merino blend in this eye-searing coral colorway. Like it defies what to do with it. Like, I had the same problem with this one, right? Because they are, in fact, probably about the same shade of coral. But I don't know what to do with it. Like, there's really no way to tone it down. Like, black was the only option. So this may be obnoxiously Halloween, or who knows. But it is really nice stuff. So it's gonna be a nice hat when it's done. And we'll go from there. I think I'm just gonna do this one straight up and try to limit the exposure of the coral to everything else, and it'll make a good hat. So I'm knitting this one up on 6s. They're both worsted weight yarns, and this one I will keep this way as opposed to this way. So you end up sort of giving a different effect on the wrong side of garter when you're doing 2-row stripes. And the campaign of Tensfields is not yet complete. I'm probably going to end up knitting 2 Coralie hats, so that will be Fox, or whatever, Tensfield Hotel. And I'm going to have quite the pile of hats to donate. So I think there are a couple of things like that could explain why it is that I've just been on this jag. One thing is it's nice to be able to donate some things. So it'd be the case where I think in the process of packing it'd be like, ha, so much stuff. Which then makes me feel like I need to evaluate my stash and figure out, okay, what are things that like don't need to be mine? And getting some plans in place to use up them. So initially I started knitting these to use up my acrylic, but now I'm like digging into my worsted weight stash and being like, okay, this doesn't make sense to really keep anymore. And even this, like this one was like lace weight stash. So there's a tremendous amount of flexibility. I knit this one and this one on 5s, and that was a little long for the project, so I think maybe that was a little bit of a slowdown there. But I'm now on 6s. I'm now working with worsted weight. This one was more like DK. So, excuse me. So it proceeds. It isn't ready to stop yet. Let me explain. So obviously I need to use all that coral yarn, because that coral yarn, like, what would it be? It's just like, But what I have done is I have looked at my worsted weight stash, and basically all of the yarn in this Ziploc bag is totally free to become Tensfields. And then I ended up pulling out yarn that I wasn't ready to become Tensfields and put it in a different Ziploc bag, which I'll return to my stash. And it's possible that one of the ones I reserved will end up in the Tensfield bucket as well. So these are just yarns where I haven't really had a plan, and they're going to make really great scrappy hats, and I get to have all the fun and creativity of combining all these different yarns. And then I'll donate them, because I have plenty of knitting at home. So it just feels like a really nice stash down, and I don't know if I'll start going super crazy and begin looking and evaluating all of my fingering weight oddball scraps. I could definitely see a situation in which I hold 4 fingering weight yarns at the same time and make some sort of crazy Stephen West Marl. Like the Marl turned out super duper cool, and it was a good way to get rid of some stuff. So I really like how this one turned out. The gray and the green ended up toning down the rainbow gradient quite a lot, but easy. So I've been pleased with it. Like, for some reason I just really wanted to knit garter a lot. I don't know if that was stress or not. But so that was 2 finished objects for the week and a work in progress. It's not over yet, kids. I did cast on something new this week. So I am hosting the Knit the Precious Cow, which might be Office of Redundancy. And I am using this Elan Silken Kid, which is a 70% mohair, 30% silk blend. And this Lion Brand, ooh, this is getting like covered in mohair. Oh well, whatever. This is Lion Brand wool stainless, so it's 70% wool, 25% stainless. And I am knitting a Luna Moth shawl. So I did find the pattern. It wasn't too crazy to start. What is interesting is that both of these yarns have like 0 elasticity, and they don't feed particularly well, but that's not going to be the end of the world. It's more like the cone and then this little hank thing. There's no way that I'm winding this. So I have made only one modification to the pattern so far. I started working on it and I decided that I would like to have a 5-stitch garter border instead of a 3-stitch garter border, because I do this. It was like, you can tell that this has no elasticity because you start moving and then it just stops. So let's see if I can't do this. So you can sort of see that neat little garter edge that you get. So that's something I learned from knitting Elizabeth Freeman patterns. And Luna Moth is by Shu Quen Kaczynski. So, and this is what it looks like, maybe. So, you have like pretty extreme decreases, so the only decreases in this pattern are the 3 kind. And then it has this pretty cool look because you end up getting these lines of eyelets as well. And the pattern is pretty straightforward. Now that I've sort of knit 2 rows of the main chart, I can see where it's heading now, which is cool. And I'm knitting this on bamboo needles because I am experiencing a bit of a needle shortage right now. Because, you know, like, I don't like to have like a lot of projects simultaneously. But my other work in progress, the breathing space, is taking up a lot of my excess needle capacity. So this is, I believe, lace knitting, so it'd be the case where I just have pearl back rows, which is nice. And this is my first go at knitting with a merino silk. So I decided to combine it with the wool stainless steel in order to give it a little bit more structure and body without bulk. So it is the case where you can, what would it be? I find it interesting just because the wool silk is, it is extremely thin. So we're just sort of pulling this one out. So the wool silk is extremely thin, you can just sort of form it places, but it doesn't have oodles of, I guess the best word would be rigidity, but it definitely does end up making it pretty solid. Neither of these yarns stretch much, as I had mentioned earlier, so when it isn't feeding well, like you just have to sit down and figure out which one isn't, whether it's the ball of the mohair silk or if it's the ball of, or the cone of stainless. But I can't tell the difference between them because they're both very, very firm. So there's no elasticity between either of them. The silk is not all slinky, if that makes any sense. And then it is tremendously furry. So this is like Halo City for sure. I'm just knitting on a row. So I am depending on my, for some reason this. So right now I'm knitting this on bamboo needles because I had a needle shortage, but I may switch over to to metal needles, because these are some of the oldest needles in my stash, so they are craft store clover bamboo needles, and the joints aren't very good, so it's resulting in some finagling to get them across the interface. There's like a little nap. Yeah. So it would be my preference, I think, to switch, but what is nice about the bamboo needles is they really do put the brake on stuff moving around, so in that regard it's good. The pattern calls for 1 and a little bit more skeins of the mohair silk, but I'm planning on doing extra repeats because I would like to have sort of a bigger shawl. I think actually the total yardage is, I guess I'm just gonna hide that knot when I come to it. It's not supposed to be there. I might need to switch out my markers for something different. I was like, yeah, that's supposed to be attached there. Okay. So, train of thought was derailed. Alright. By, like, interesting challenges associated with knitting with this. So it's definitely a very mindful project. It's definitely the case where it results in a little bit more concentration. So is the case where lately I've been able to show up to knit night much earlier than the other people who attend, so I end up just spending some time knitting quietly by myself, and this was a very good project to get started while there was no one else around, because it does require a little bit more care. But now that I've got a sense for how to read the pattern, which is super duper helpful, it turns out that I think was a big win there. I think it'll be going fairly nicely. And then the increases and decreases in the shawl, I think, manipulate really well sort of the halo of the mohair silk, so that it ends up giving it even more sense of positive and negative space. So oftentimes in the lace, you know, it's all about the negative space and how that's coming together, but in this case, it's also sort of manipulating the density of the yarn. So in the areas with, there's one stitch or two? It's two. So in the areas where you have a lot of decreases, that ends up resulting in areas of higher density and areas of lower density. Which I think I can show by bringing this closer to the camera. Except I can't see anything. So you can see places where it looks more dense and where it looks more open. And that, I think, is sort of the cool thing that's coming together here. And I do like the fact that it has a bit beefier of a border. So I'm trying to figure out like what, I don't know. It's not like it just sort of begs to have like something white on the back side of it. So you can probably show it off. So I am a small way into the journey on this, but this is quite the throwback project. So I originally got this yarn in September or October of 2011, and the pattern came with a swap, and I decided to go with it because I had never worked with this yarn before, and still, 8 years later, have never worked with the yarn before, or 7.5 years later. And that blue is the oldest full skeins of yarn in my stash. There's some older scraps, but they'll probably end up getting hoovered up by the Tensfield obsession. So this is going to be a test drive, I think, for my eventual plan of knitting with my Shibui Silk Cloud, and the pebble for my crazy fluffy Boxy of Doom. It might just be Fluffy Boxy of Doom, which will be its eventual project name. And if I am still in a stockinette and garter mood, when I finish like my breathing space, I can definitely see a situation in which that is the project that I cast on next. The other sweater that I am pondering is a Carol Sunday pattern called Piper in my Harrisville watershed. I think it's watershed. But that is pretty cablelicious, and I don't think I'm there right now. I may not be there with the lace either. I think the lace just like calms engineering brain down. But who knows? So, this is, I have made some progress on my breathing space. So, last time I left you guys, I was trying to figure out what in the world I was going to do about it. And now I have some sleeve. I probably should sit down and take a moment and figure out, or maybe put this on waste yarn instead of on needles. I tried to try it on, and it sort of laughed at me. So I couldn't get this cord past here, and so it was pretty awkward. But I may need to evaluate. It seemed like when I tried to try it on last night that the sleeve was actually a little bit too tight. Just a little bit crazy making. So I will need to put this on different needles because maybe it was awkward because this isn't entirely bendy, and figure that out from there. And I'm not sure, because I don't think this needle was the short one, so I must have a Xiaogu cable floating around somewhere, because it feels like I should have more. So this is how it's turning out, and what is exciting is that I did end up getting my mistletoe fiber in. So this may turn out to be a little bit lighter than the original, but we'll see as it ends up getting spun up. So what I need to do next is actually divide this into thirds for my 3-ply, and then figure out sort of like how I'm going to end up spinning it, or see whether or not I have any useful information from the past to help me understand how I tried spinning it originally. It turned out significantly thicker than my original combo draft spin, as you do. But I think that this is going to be close enough in the stripes for me to get a reasonable match. So, whatever. It turns out that Jen is actually no longer buying this fiber anymore, but she did have 2 scraps after she did some looking. Then there was like the moment of confusion when the invoice was the wrong colorway, and so I was really glad when it arrived in the mail this week and it was the right color and the right fiber, and basically the last of this fiber. So this better work. I am assuming that I will probably end up using this fiber to wrap up the sleeves, and then I'm going to be using this fiber to knit the solid block on the bottom of this. And I think once I knit that solid block, then it will be long enough and I can just launch into the ribbing and call this guy done. So, yay. So this is probably what's actually going on my wheel next. I did not start the Corriedale fiber. I have been prepping fleece instead. Or combing seemed to be much more my speed this week. So, breathing space is slowly but surely moving forward, but it is not as comforting as knitting Tensfield hats, so I didn't get oodles of progress. I did make it to my first sleeve decrease, and I think I know about how many rows in between, because it's about the same rate as the body was. So I alluded to earlier that I was taking an update photo. So I'm like a part of a couple of different challenges, and I think it was just to help keep me accountable. So I'm a part of Spin the Bin, and this project is a part of that. I'm a part of the accountability challenge in the Fun Onion group, and the Spin the Bin is in the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group. So I'm a part of the Fun Onion accountability challenge, and my accountability thing is to finish processing Ginny the Fleece. And then the third thing is that I ended up putting Ginny the Fleece into the Stockinette Zombies Gold Along for 2019. So it'd just be the case where I made this personal challenge a part of many challenges. So it seemed to all be in the spirit of what was going on. So I was taking my monthly update photo. I had just thrown up a photo, I think, early in January for what I had accomplished. I think I had finished combing or something like that, my second third. I am now combing my third. The final third. Woo! So this is the fleece, which the white is blowing out. It is mostly blacks, but that comes across as greens. And then any of the pink that ended up breaking in the black has been darkened with blue. So this sort of results in a dark purple and foresty green in the fleece, which sort of makes an average tone more like this. So these are like combing leftovers, but you definitely can see like that foresty green component. Oh shit. That just fell in my coffee. With like hints of purple in it. So it's sort of like when you end up having the final combed balls, well, the combed balls aren't really the final, they look actually very charcoal-y, for some reason. I don't know, it is sort of a charcoal color with sort of like greens and dark purples in it. So the overall effect, once everything was just sort of blended together, was maybe a little bit different. So even though I'm getting green off of the fleece, the final combed balls are actually sort of like a steely blue even. So I have 6 balls so far, and I just showed you the fleece that I have remaining to comb, and then I'm just throwing all of the waste actually in that bucket. And then all of my waste will be, all of my waste will collect there, and then when I'm done I will comb my waste a second time and then make a second skein. And I just thought it was fun to show these because I'm just sort of showing the entire process. So I ended up taking this color here and over dyeing it blue and the rest of the fleece. But then this ends up being a much more purpley sort of color, so I don't know if I'll end up over dyeing this one or not. I still haven't given this one a bath, so they definitely show pretty big differences in plumpness, even though I think yardage wise they're fairly similar. So I will end up getting excuse me, a greeny blue one when I finish the final third. And then I'll have 6 ounces of yarn to do something with. And then probably what's going to be happening, so I have quite a lot of combing to do, and I sort of want to get all of the combing done before the big move, which is at an unknown date, so we just have to get cracking. But not too crazy. There's probably a limit to how much I can do because it's all weak shoulder, why are you weak? So I can probably do a ball a night, and sometimes I do a little bit more to make up for the nights when I don't do anything, but not too crazy. So it was nice to get everything out. It makes me really excited when I'm looking and seeing the earlier parts of the process and just how gorgeous it looks for this eventual sweater spin this year. And I'm assuming probably the next skeins that'll end up being made are probably going to be one that's almost doing like a trial run of what the sweater is going to eventually turn into, which would be all of these colors in a marl. And then, unless I find out that I don't really like how that looks, then I'll do something else. So that's sort of the process there. It's not super duper exciting, but it is time consuming. But it's moving forward. It's a part of several challenges, so I'm just gonna keep moving forward on that one. I don't remember what my other goals in the zombie along, or the zombie goal along, were. I don't know if I said that I would, or would be. I don't, for the completely twisted and arbitrary spin the bin, the goal is to spin it all. But I have not made any progress on the spin the bin this month, so, or unless it counts as processing place, and then I've made lots of progress. But yeah, no, for some reason I just haven't been feeling spinning, but maybe I should. Maybe it would make me more calm. But yeah, so I don't remember what else I said I would do for the zombie along. It may be that I don't get everything done, but I think part of the process is just thinking about, okay, this is the big thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to keep doing the big thing. And I am triple reinforced. So, I should be able to record next week. And want to be no travel plans right now, but that can change. I may end up having less content because I'm going to be helping my father-in-law out and doing all the things to repair the house to have it be ready for sale. So I'm not entirely sure what that's going to entail at this point, or how much work is going to need to be done in order to realize that. Well, such is life. And I encourage you guys to post in the Knit the Precious Cal thread. I probably owe a picture. I have started a Ravelry project, so it should be easy to post some photos of my Luna Moss shawl. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys' progress as well. What are we? And based on sort of like how things are looking, I'm thinking that pulling prizes from the chatter thread would probably be the best way, so I won't start a finished object thread. So we'll figure out something that's nice. What to be in typical Molly fashion, it's probably going to be a skein of hands one. And of course, I had been thinking about knitting my hand spun for the Knit the Precious Cal, but this ended up superseding it. Like, once I got the idea in my head, then that is how it shook out. Or once I got the idea in my head to use the stainless steel yarn, and then my original plan wasn't going to work. Whoopsies. So, I believe that I did cover everything. I have like so much stuff in my bag right now. The bag is still basically full, but I have shown you everything that you need to see, so whatever. So I should be able to record next week. I believe that will be March 1st. No, March 2nd. February, you're too short. And I hope you guys have a lovely week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.